My screen is visible to all?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so for today I have something new. Okay, and for that we call a file system task. Okay, so we are now in the control flow window, and here we have a list of SSIS toolbox tasks, and where we know about the data flow task and execute SQL task, and all the common ones. We haven't completed any one of these. Okay, so let's try to finish the basic ones. Okay, so after learning after one by one, we will try to finish all the common tasks in the control flow. As we know, in data flow we have almost covered the basic functions. Like when you go to this data flow window, here you will have we know like how to connect to destination and source, and like yes, this aggregate is left and conditional split and derived column, lookup, merge join, multicast. Okay, so we almost covered all. Okay, and yes, there are some left, so we will finish that also. And now we are on the control flow, and in the control flow we have common tasks, which means we have different common tasks. Obviously we will be not able to touch all the things, but yes, we will discuss on it, which means I will not have a demo on all these tasks, but we will try to cover all. Okay, because if you take the example of the send mail task, we know this from the name itself, it is like sending mail after the finishing of the task, but it requires the mail server, which means if you are on the organization page, which means if you are on a within a organization. Okay, so if you are on a desktop organizational machine, there you can have these things. For this, if you have, you need to be have some SMTP server. Okay, so obviously if I find any success on this task, I will show you. Okay, and yes, it doesn't mean like I will left this task. Okay, so we will finish this in later classes. Okay, so script task, and for this there is nothing which we can do, which means script task is all related to the scripting in C sharp. Okay, so if you are familiar with the C sharp coding, then you can write a C sharp code according to your requirement in this task. Okay, and let's take this file system task. Today we will do a simple quick demo on this. Okay.
Okay.
So this file system task is quite easy to use. As its name says, like it's a file system task, which means it will do something with the files which are on our disk drive. Which means if some file are there on the located on some folder, then we can rename that file, we can move that file, we can delete that file. So these kind of works which we can do using this file system task. Okay, so you can have a look here, as we have different modes for this loop container and for lookup tool in the data flow. Obviously some part of it was left. Okay, so I will finish on that also. Okay, so I was just trying to create a very good demo on that so that I can make you understand. And one more thing I was discussing here is like file system task. So in this file system task, we can have different kind of work here, which means we can tell this file system task that you have to work in this mode, which means as you can see here, we can have a copy directory, copy file, create directory, delete directory. So all these kind of all these tasks are related to some file system, which means it has to do something with the files which are lying on the disk drive. Okay.
Okay.
So earlier in the, I think we did some demo on how to read data from all Excel sheet from a folder using that for each loop.
Yes.
Yes, we did that. So can we think on that task so that we can continue, like if we have extracted the data from all those files, can we move or can we archive that file to some other folder? Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
suppose there are some. Hold a second, I will navigate to that folder. Okay, so suppose like there here we have order something. So I need to read data from all these files. Okay, so we can treat this folder as our source folder. So after processing the file, which means after extracting the data from this Excel sheet, can we move these files to some like let's create a new folder and can we call it as an archive? Okay, so can we design a package where after extracting the data, simply move these files to this folder? Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
for these kind of works, which means after extracting data, for that we need a for each loop container that will iterate with all files, which means one by one it will point to the files from which we have to extract data, and after extracting the data we need to move this file to this archive folder so that we do not reprocess these files. Okay, so in this problem or in this situation, we use two tasks. The first one is a for each loop, and after for each we need uh, file system task, which means after uh, extracting the data, simply move this file to archive. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, so obviously it will take some more time. Obviously we will be doing with the variable thing again. So are you getting the problem, which means what situation we are trying to create here?
Yes. But I have one question, like in real-time scenario, like when like it only deals with the folder system or file system, or in real time, how does it work?
Means how does it defines to read a file, which means how to like, move the file.
Yeah, I mean, just we are moving the file. This is like simple task. Yeah, because of demo, you are explaining that. But my question
Mhm.
is, if in real-time scenario, so really for that purpose they use that, or like for any other purpose?
Yes, exactly. For that purpose only we use that, because suppose we have suppose the salesman people, we tell them like this is the destination folder where you will have to put every and each files related to the sales data. Okay, so we'll create a sales destination folder. So irrespective of anything, salespeople will just dump the files to that folder. Okay, so and for that, which means obviously that folder will contain more than one files. Okay, and for obviously the file will be in the Excel sheet. Okay, so for that kind of situation, we need to extract the data from their Excel sheet. Okay, so we cannot make them like to go to the SQL server and insert the rows. Okay, so for those kind of work, we design a ETL, which means it will extract the data and it will load to the destination. Okay, so in that case, which means in a folder, which means in a dump folders of or that dump folder will be the destination for the sales people, and that dump folder will be the source for our ETL. Okay, so ETL will be like it will just extract data from each file, which means it will take a file one by one, and after that, after processing that file, it will just move that file to archive so that it will not reprocess that file again.
Okay.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so there can be different methods also. Okay, so just to make a use of this file system task, we can have this. Okay, so let's divide the things into in different parts. Okay,
Okay.
give me 1 minute. I think Priyanka, you are not familiar with the for each loop.
No, Sanjay.
Okay. So just watch my steps. Uh,
Yeah, sure,
I
sure.
will I will redo that for each loop, which means all the steps I will redo it again. And if you have doubt, then we can discuss that also.
Yeah.
And for Kavita, it will be a revision task for you.
Yeah.
So the work of this for each loop is to just read the files, which means we will configure this for each loop so that it will take a pointer on each file, which means first pointer it will make to this file, and after that it will make to the next file. So which means it will iterate to each and every file with some conditions. Okay, so let's make that conditions in this for each loop container. Here we obviously we will be having different modes. Here we can define like in which mode you have to work. Okay, so obviously I will discuss this for each shadow enumerator, but for that I haven't created any demo, so give me some time. In future classes I will discuss on this. So first let's discuss this about for each file enumerator. Okay, so obviously we are dealing with the file thing, which means file system work. So for that we selected this mode for each file enumerator, which means for each file it will work. Okay, so we will first define to which folder you have to look. So for that, browse it, and yes, obviously for that we have a folder. As you can see, the files are located in this desktop MSBI data. And yes, into the next you can provide the extension of file, which means it can be this folder can have files of different formats also. Okay, so it can have text, it can have XLS, it can have PPTs also. So but yes, we can provide that for each loop to look only for XLS file. Sorry, it should be small. Okay, and here if you are providing this star, which means irrespective of the name it will sense all the Excel files. Okay, but obviously if our data if the data inside that Excel is different, which means suppose the format of that table is different, then it will throw an error, which means suppose as we know like order detail have different table and this order demo has different table. Okay, so it has 10 columns, it has 5 columns only, so obviously it will throw an error when we have a data flow task, which means the column will not map from source to the destination table. Okay, so in this we can have what is there in this order detail, because I think this order detail have, yes, this has different thing, and all this order demo data have same format. And the format which I'm talking about is like the header should be the same in all files. So let's remove these two folders. Okay, so we have this folder. We will use this folder. So for that, I will just change the path to the next. Okay, so we have a dump folder here, and for that we can name it this MSBI data and orders. So we can think of like this is the folder where the all sales people will dump their files. on a daily basis, or at any frequency. And yes, we define like we go to this folder and sends only XLS file, and that starts with orders. So it will send like the file which have first name starting with this order string, and after that it can be anything, and that the extension should be the XLS. And yes, after this, what kind of work you want to extract, which means if here we have the option retrieve the full qualified, which means it will extract the data, extract the information about the files which we are scanning here, and the file information will be the file path with their file name. So that will be the full qualified, means that will be the location of that file with the name. Okay, so it will return that uh, path of that file, which means for each file it will return the full file path with the name, and we can retrieve that information to a new variable, which means we can store that information from this for each loop, which means the for each loop will only provide the file name with path, and that information we can have in any variable. So first click OK. I will reconfigure it later. So first create a new variable here. And its data type will be string. Let it be. And now come to this, and to the collection we configured it right, and to the variable mapping just tell this for each loop to pass the information to this file path. Okay, so click OK. So now hold a second, I will start this package and I will show you like how this for each loop is working. I have enabled a breakpoint for only beginning of every iteration, which means for each iteration it will stop. Let's start this and watch the variable, how the variable is changing, how the value of that variable is changing. So let's see that, then we will continue. Okay, so obviously we will have some error here because it should not work like in single step. That error will be for each file editor is empty. So it is saying like the specified directory was empty. Okay, so come to this control flow, let's stop it and recheck our conditions. File enumerator, MSBI data orders. And yes, again I'm making a mistake, orders. I did the same mistake in first class also. So the files which we are having here is the order. There is no S. Okay. So are you getting the why we are getting the error?
Yes.
Kavita.
Yes.
We did the same mistake earlier also. So let's remove this S. Now the all condition will match with these files. Now order and anything. Order star dot XLS. XLSX. And yes, we are making here a mistake. Is this the file? Let me check it. XL, that's okay. Why is it? Click OK. Now run this. So the variable which we created, whose name was file th. Click enter. It's Hmm, where is other windows? I'm stopping it for a minute because I want to find the exact name of the file path. Here's the name. Copy. Now start. Okay, so now here you can see we told this we configured this for each loop, and the work of this for each loop is to just read the file from the folder which we have defined and pass it to the variable. Okay, now you can see the value of this file path, which means the variable, and you can see here the value is the same file name of this folder, the first file name, copy2, or the demo data copy2. So after, which means we have iterated for the first step. So when I click continue, the next name should come to this variable copy3. So let's click continue. So now you got here like the value of this variable has been changed by this for each loop. Now it's copy3, and now it will iterate up to the files, which means the number of files. Hmm. It's stuck on after file 3. File 4 should come here. You can check the status like where it has been progressed. You can see here validation started, validation completed. Hold a second, I will stop and rerun it. There might be some error with this Visual Studio. First copy 2, next should be copy 3, next should be 4, next should be 5. That's it, I think. Now it should take this also, these two, order demo and order Sunday. So somehow this Visual Studio is getting hanged. So Priyanka, are you getting how this for each loop is working?
Yes, yes.
Sanjay, I have a question here.
Mm-hmm.
So while fetching the file from that folder, does it follow I mean, order, like,
No,
it
it
can
takes
fetch any file?
randomly. There is no fixed method. Like it will start from the first or it will start from the middle. But yes, after reading that file, it will not go back to that file.
Okay, while running this package, I
Mhm.
added one more file into that folder. So what will happen?
So it depends.
Okay.
If you are in the middle of the running package, then it will take. Or if you have already started the package, then it will take the files which has been added up to the starting time of this file, not after that.
Okay, so while running, if we add any Excel file into the folder, then it will not fetch, right?
Yes, obviously.
Okay.
What it does is like simply create a simple one row table,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, one column table, which have rows up to the number of files, and it creates a pointer for each row value. Okay, so it creates it creates a copy of the metadata from that folder. So it lists down the all files from that folder and checks the condition which we have defined in the for each loop.
Okay.
Okay, so let's rerun it again. I don't know why it's not completing up to the final.
Just check that file uh, for the column names and everything.
No, we are not using the data flow, na. We are not. We are just reading the this. We are just checking this for each loop. We are not doing anything with that. We are not extracting the data because to extract the data, we need to have the here data flow. So we are not doing anything like process the file or something. We are just reading that metadata. We are just checking this for each loop. Nothing else. 3,
Okay.
4, 5. Okay, now it's taking all order Sunday and all. So now it's finished all the things. Okay, so now let's uh, move this file. Okay, suppose there is a data flow. We have in data flow we have a data extraction. So I'm not doing the data extraction. Let's move this file. So to move this file, stop it. So I'm not processing the data. I'm not extracting the data. I'm just trying to move the file. Okay, and if everything goes right, then I will edit this package so that we can extract the data also. So before that, we'll have a file task here, file system task. I just want to introduce this file system task, like where to use. Okay, so double click on it, and now we will pass that file path from for each to this video, this file task. Here first define in which mode you want. So let's take move file. Okay, obviously to move file, first you need to define the destination folder to which you want to dump the file. So the destination folder, and the next property it is saying like if your destination path is variable or not. So let's create a destination folder here. So we will extract data from this. We will just move the files from this order to some new folder destination. I don't know why my system is behaving like this. Okay, so we created a destination folder here. We want move all the files here we are having here. The only Excel file, move all Excel file to this destination folder. So for that we use the move file mode of this file system task, and here we are saying that the destination path folder is not variable, which means we have a fixed destination folder. And the connection for that, let's create a new. Okay, so here you need to select the directory existing folder. Okay, obviously we are connecting to destination folder, so browse it, and here you will have desktop. Where is desktop? Yes, we are on the desktop. MSBI data, and we want to put all the file into this destination folder, so click OK. Click OK. Let's take this. If we want to rewrite, if some duplicates is coming, so then it will rewrite the files, and let the name will be something or description as it is. And yes, now for the source, obviously the source file will be variable because we need to have these all files. So these are the variables, which means first it will take this, then this. So we are varying the file path or the source files. So for that, let's make this as a variable source true, and for this variable just pass the username which we got from for each loop, user file path. Click OK. Now the cross should go away. Okay, so now to validate, which means whenever we create anything in SSIS, before execution it validates that package. So now it is validating the package and saying like the file path is having null values, which means we are not given any fixed value for this path. We are generating this value for this file path dynamically, which means on the runtime we are populating value in this file path. Okay, so for that we can go to these properties and we will tell this package not to validate before running the package. So for that we will have a delayed validation properties. So on that, force execution, let me close this. Assign the file system task. I'm not, oh, I need to use this slider. Yes, here we have a delay validation. Okay, so we can make this property as a true for this file system task. Okay, now the cross has been gone, which means it will not validate the package with after just designing. It will validate the package during the runtime. So let's start this. So now we have defined, we are just using this file task to move the files. Okay, so we are now with the copy tool. Let's take a look, where is it now? So copy to is in this folder. So I will open a start key, a new explorer, destination. We are not having anything in this. Okay, so go to this package and run. So according to this, the copy to should be moved to the destination. As you can see, we have moved that file to this destination, and this should not be there in the source. Okay, so we are just moving the file. Yes, obviously there are so many doubts why we are using silly things. Why we are doing just moving the files. But yes, I will, after this thing I will make it clear, like we will extract the data from those things. So one by one we are moving the files. So now you can see there the file which we are starting with the orders and having XLS4 file, XLS extension has been moved to this destination, and they are not in these orders. Okay, so we are having this text file only. Okay, so in the same way, which means we can have a combination of for each loop container with file system task to move the multiple files from the same dump folder. Okay, so I'm stopping this and I'm further redesigning this package. So before moving the file, I want to extract the data. So let's create this data flow. Okay, so now we will have this, just link this, which means when this loop will execute, this container will execute, before that it will run this data flow, which means we will first extract the data from that file and then we will move that file using file task. Okay, so let's quickly create a data flow on the Excel source. To the destination availability. We'll click on it, create a, there is no, click new, self report browse. Okay, so you need to have a sample file here. Okay, so let's take a sample file. Let's copy some.
It won't work if I don't have any sample file.
Yes, that will create an error, which means this connection manager will not work. We are just creating a new connection. Okay, so to make a connection, we need to have a sample Excel file, and that when we run the package, then we will be dynamically switching the connections to the different Excels. Okay, and that obviously will be using that variable. Okay, so let's have a sample file here, and then just need to copy anything from this and rename that with sample. Control copy, rename it as a sample so that our for each will not sense this file. It will always remain here. Now here we got this, open, click OK. So we have configured, we have created a new Excel connection manager, and now from that select any, let's take this sheet one. By default, invite to take chance, let it be the first sheet, and from the columns you can have the preview of the columns here. Click OK. So now we have configured this connection source. So whatever the data we are coming from this, let's redirect it to the destination. Double click on it and configure it. New North database. Click OK. Create a new table. It's better to go with this. Go to the mapping, and by default it took all because we created the table destination table with the same name. Okay, and now we need to parameterize this connection, which means when we run the Excel sheet, when we run this package, so we need to switch this connection to the different files. So go to the properties of the Excel connection we created here. Okay, so you can have this Excel connection where when we double click on it, we got the same thing which we did. Cancel it. Now right click on it, go to the properties, and here you will have expressions. Okay, so in this expression you will have this browse button, so click on it. Now the expression, it will tell you like uh, which property of this Excel connection manager you want to parameterize. So obviously the Excel file path we want to change, and for that we need a expression, which means we will get that file path using this variable, and obviously the value of this variable will be populated by that for each loop. Now we will get an error in Excel. Why? Because we edited this connection manager to take the file path from this file variable, and the value, initial value of this variable is empty. So for that we need to have the file path of this sample. So take this, please copy. I need notepad. Backslash. What's the file name? Just providing a sample value of this variable. Okay, the error has been gone now. And now we will go back to our same thing, and let's see. And now open this SQL Server and go back to this orders. Bring back all those tables which we moved in our last step. And just Control X. Okay. I will just check the table to which we are dumping the file. Oh, I opened two instances. Orders and the name was file task. So let's see, there should not be any data. Closing the second instance. Okay, so there are no data. So now come to our package and let's start for first file. Okay, so the for each loop has changed the value of this variable file path. It has changed the value to this copy to. So what it will do now? It will start first with copy to. So continue. So the data flow will extract data file from this continue this copy to. So let's go to this. So it has extracted 835 rows from that copy to Excel sheet, and after that it has moved the file to some destination. Let's verify this. So in orders we are not having copy to. We have processed the data, which means we have extracted the data and moved that data to our destination folder. As you can see here, like we can we have processed this file, which means we have extracted the data from that, and after extracting the data, which means we have decided in this control flow, like after extracting the data, move the file, and to move the file we have used this file system task. So one by, or you can, let's check the data. It should be 835 rows. As you can see here, it got 835 rows from the first Excel sheet. Now continue the package. Now it will extract the data from 3, copy 3, and copy 3 is still there in the orders table. So when we continue this, so this data flow and file system will rerun again. So now it is extracting data from the Excel sheet copy 3, and obviously we copied the file, so the all file will have same number of rows. And one by one again you can verify, like it has processed 2 files, copy 3 also. In the same way it will move, which means it will, the copy 3 will not be here in the source folder. So run this. Again copy 5, continue. So we have enabled that breakpoint, that's why we are having pause in between. So when we disable the breakpoint, it will execute in one step. So the work of this package has been finished. Now go back to this table. Earlier we were having 835 rows from the first Excel sheet. Now we should have more rows. So we are having more than 1000. Let's so now we are having 5000 something rows from all the files, and we have archived the files after processing to the destination folder. Okay, so the next time whenever we will have any file here with the order name and extension with XLX, so just rerun the package, automatically process the all files which are there in these orders. So do you have any doubt up to now? we learned today how to use this file task.
No, but I think if we do that in our system, then we'll get more doubts.
Obviously, obviously, and do expect failure in your first design. Okay.
Yeah. I have
Because
one question actually. So you ran this package, okay, so there has been some changes in the file, you read some data from the files and everything is okay. So if I want to revert the changes, can I do that now?
now, for that,
Okay.
if you want, then you need to design the new loop here. Okay, here a new same for each loop, and here you will take a destination folder as a source. Okay, obviously this obviously this computer system is a dumb system. You need to tell this for reverting the things. You will have a name for each loop.
No, no, generally speaking, in real time, if, we did something wrong, so manually you'll go and you'll do all this data flow and everything and you'll revert the changes.
Yes, if you have something like what kind of error you will get, if there is any probability, like you expect these kind of errors, for that you can design some package so that if you get any error, then you will run the reverting package, which means run the another package to revert the changes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Obviously, in the same thing as we know, we can have a derived column, which means we can something like we can have a column in this file like file name something some column with file name. So whatever the data is coming, we can stamp the all rows from which file we extracted this data. We can have a derived column on that. Okay, so we can add the derived column here in the data flow, and we can simply sense the file path and we'll put this here. So for example, let's take a look. I'm just deleting this. Okay, so I'm just making this package some more complex. I just want to add a stamp column from which file we got this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for that obviously we need to add a column as we did for the get date, which means what was the process time. So the file name as acquired as a new column, and from the expression, I think at the rate total block of file path. This should work. Okay, so now we'll have a folder column with file path name. Okay, so click OK. Now go to the destination. Go to the destination. So I'm just creating stamps so that if you want some revert changes, then you will know from which row came from which file. Go to this, create new. File stamp. Now I will disable this breakpoint. Oh, we got some error. Obviously, there are no files in the source folder. We need to move the files from the destination again. Oh, put some error here. There is no quick method except this copying the whole error thing to the notepad and read it. Because truncation occurred when truncation wrote drive out was specified as file truncation. Okay, so it is saying like the length of this table, the column length. Hold a second, I will open that file task. What how I name that table? Order file stamp. This was the table. So here you can see like the column name of the file stamp. The file name we decided to it was to be a 52, but obviously in 52 string length you will not have the whole file path, so we need to make it big. And drop this table. And here precisely make it some big, not 52, make it 200 or something. Now for each row, which means when we go to this table, we will have a derived column that will decide from which table we got that file, we got that row. Again, we got an indentation error. We can ignore that truncation. Go to advanced editor and here in this input output and in the derived column output file name. Here if any truncation occurs we have a fail this component, so we can ignore this. So whenever we got any truncation issue, then it will ignore, it will not fail the package. So hope so it will work. I'm not sure. No, it is okay. Now come to this table. Or we created, what was the table name? File task something. File stamp was the table. So when you come to this, you will have the whole file path from which you got the uh, this row. From which file you got this row. Okay. So we are just passing the variable value to the table. So is it clear or is it something like overhead transmission?
No.
Okay, so I think you are the only one here. Okay, so for today, the main task was for me to make you into make this file system task to make use of it. So have you got this thing like file system task? In the same way, you can configure the other things also. Like you can move, rename, something like that. Obviously, for each thing, you will have different parameters, but they will be similar to this.
Okay. So I have one more question.
Hmm.
So now this what was that file system task? We
Hmm.
move some files from one folder to other folder, right? So
Yes.
in I mean I was thinking in real time scenario if like there are like different departments and they are dumping the Excel files into one folder. And their file names are separated with like marketing, sales, and finance, something like that. So
Hmm.
can you use only one for each loop, and can you not one for each loop actually? Can you use only one file system task and read that files and you know take that files and put into some other folders in one single file system task? You got my question, right?
Yes, exactly. You want this to be outside. You want this to be one, but you have different file according to the department, like for marketing, for HRs, and for other peoples.
Yeah,
Okay.
now we just, yeah.
For that, because we are using the variable file thing, which means this for each loop will decide the source file name.
Okay, for
Okay.
that we need different for each loops?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. If you want like marketing or you, but the main thing, if the file format, the data inside which we are having in the Excel sheet, if the format of that table is same, the
Mm-hmm.
columns and the data type are fixed for the all departments, irrespective of
Mm-hmm.
the name. So, you can have a single thing here. Just provide the star.slx. So whatever it is, if that data is from marketing or it is from the sales, you can read all the files here. And yes, but the table inside that Excel, okay, so the name of the column should be same, which means the metadata should not change. Okay, so suppose in one Excel sheet you have order ID with data type of integer, and in the next, if you get the data type as a string for
Mm-hmm.
that order ID column, then this SSIS package will throw an error, because for the next file it will not find the correct data type with the destination. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so if you are confident like you will have the same table format inside that Excel, then you can continue with this same thing. We can with the single for each loop you can do the things.
Okay.
Okay, so if the file the table type or the table width, column numbers or the column name, if any of the things are different, then you will get an error. So the template should be the same. You can say like that.
Okay.
So there are so many things we will
Mm-hmm.
try to finish, but I don't want to make a rush here. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
because if you get some practical example, then only you will understand. If I will use simply use the file system task to move, rename, and the things. Okay, so I could have created a simple file task, and I have shown like just we will use it as a to move the files. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
that will be very boring or very basic demo, but to make it a combination of data flow, derived column, variable, for each loop. So you are getting some revision as well as how to merge different parts in a single package, because in real time you will not have a single data flow or single file task.
Yeah.
Okay, So in the same way, we can have incremental. Last day we used a for what was it, lookup to load the data on incremental basis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in the same way, we have here some tools like bulk insert. We'll not do this data profiling because it's a subject. Okay, so I will provide a book on. I will provide documents, so you can go with that. Here, analysis services process task. We will see like what is process task. Okay, when we start working on analysis services, bulk insert is similar to this data flow. Okay, so bulk insert will take data, input data from only from the text file.
Mm-hmm.
It will only take data from text file and it will only dump the file to the SQL table. So for this, we have fixed source and destination. And when you double click on it, in connection, you will have destination and you will have source file. And in the source file, it will take data from a text file. Okay, and why we need this? Because obviously this data flow is slow. Okay, so if we have data in text file and we want to dump that data into SQL without doing any transformation, so it's better to use this bulk insert. It is very faster than this. Okay,
Okay.
so in the same way we have different execute package, execute process task. So in next class I will try to finish all these 3-4 tasks. Okay, and obviously I will give you an introduction about mail task where we will use. So suppose after doing this thing, we want if you want to mail your manager like in this run, you have finished this number of files.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you can use this send mail task. There you can define to whom you want to send the mails and all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In the same way, if you are familiar with XML, web service, scripting, so those kind of work you can do here also. So SSIS is very big environment. Okay. So let's learn it bit by bit. You cannot have the whole thing in a single learning or single package. Okay. So yes, obviously, let's try to familiarize yourself.
Okay.
Okay.
Sanjay, can you, yeah, I mean, I saw the notepad which you have posted all the links for downloading it. Can you, give me the link for the torrent? Because when I'm searching to download for that software, I was finding so many links, so but I'm not sure which one I
So
should.
it's better to use that the Pirates Bay. Okay.
What is
So
that?
go to, when you go to the link, there you will find where is my shared link? Oh, did not open. Need to download it. So first install this torrent downloader. I will guide you how to download this. So it's a downloader. Okay, first you need to install this software. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then go to this link which I was talking about. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
copy this. I think this package is not the right one. Okay, so just browse me. Let me browse this. Give me a second. I don't want you to on the some wrong web page. So can I control it here? Yes. So I will give you a new link here. Okay.
Okay.
The same URL, which the link will be same, but let me guide you how will you do the things. Okay, so when you click on this after installing this torrent, okay, first install this.
Okay.
I obviously you can get it from their home web page. So first
Okay.
install this, and when you click on this get torrent, it will automatically open the required program. As you can see here, torrent, it will automatically redirect you to this. So when you will click on yes, it will automatically add this download files to the downloader. So you do not have to do anything, just click OK as it is. Okay. So it is a downloader. The torrent is a torrent downloader, and to download a torrent, you need to have this link. Get this
Okay.
torrent.
Okay.
Okay. So I will give you. SQL. The new file should be of 2.4 GB, but I want the enterprise edition. Is there anything? Yes, this is the link. Okay, so SQL Server 2014 Enterprise Edition, 64-bit, 2.4 GB. So this is the required file. Earlier we were having this 5.7 GB, but that is not required. I think we can continue with this 2.4 GB.
Okay.
Okay, so I will just update that text link, text file with this. And then will be here. Save it, and it should be in my downloads. Or I can ping it on this chat. Hey, ping me using this what we call it, go to trading. As we are having, is there any chat client here?
There should be, but I'm not able to find that.
I'm also finding if you got that, I can ping you the link right now. Okay, no issues. After the call, I will just update that file. Okay.
Okay.
From there, you will get this link. Okay, and just download these things, and there will be a key inside that folder. So just go step by step. Obviously, I'm expecting like in first installation, you will not have a success on that. Okay,
Okay.
but
I'll try.
let's give a try first. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, then for today, I think we are finished with the file task, and obviously in tomorrow we will have a class on 1:30 or at 1.
Okay.
Okay, that will be fine now at 1:30.
Yeah, that would be fine.
Okay, then I will just update this text file to that OneDrive file, and from there you will download.
Yeah.
And have you got that the second file from this link?
No, first I was trying for the first one actually. So
Okay, no issues, no issues. Just go with the first one and then install in the second step install this.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay then. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.